I think it's more important now to really work on building a following, building a community, because then it makes your live stream impactful.
Who knows how fast technology will change? I mean, to me, it seems like the short form rise was super fast.
I know a lot of people that get millions of views, but it's not their audience, so they don't convert, they don't stay.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Creators Uncut. Today I am joined by Paul from the YouTube channel Powwows.com. Paul, thanks for being on the show.
Oh, thanks, man. I'm excited. Looking forward to talking YouTube with you.
Yeah, it'll be good. So like we always do, we like to get to know our guests a little bit. So if you don't mind telling us a little bit about yourself, maybe where you're from, what you like to do, and then also about your channel, kind of what it's about and what it does.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So, Paul Gowder, I am from Lexington, South Carolina, grew up in Carolina. I started in Sumter, came over to Columbia area, the capital of the state, to go to school, and just never left that area. I'm father and a husband. My daughter, she turns 21 in just a few weeks. She's moved down to Florida to work for Disney World, we are big Disney fans, and we travel quite a bit. Been very blessed to be able to travel and do some really amazing trips with her. And now just the two of us, that my wife and I continue to travel. But on the business side of things, I started Powwows.com way back in 1996 as just something to do in college. Never really intended it to be a business. I tell people I'm an accidental entrepreneur. It turned into something after some time,
Mm-hmm.
right? It wasn't. That's not what I built it for. But yeah, our YouTube channel is one of the key things that we do, and really a big focus of, especially what people kind of know us for. There's a few things that really people come to us for, and one of them is our live streams and our YouTube videos.
Gotcha. Cool. So it was a website before it was a YouTube channel.
So I started building web pages about Powwows in 96. We quickly grew to having a forum for a few years. And then in 2004, we streamed our first Powwow live. And back then I didn't even think about archiving the footage, right? Or recording it.
Mm-hmm.
I recorded some tapes because I was using camcorders. So I recorded
Mm-hmm.
some clips on that, but it was a few years later that we actually started recording and preserving the live streams and taking clips from the live streams and turning them into videos.
Gotcha. That's cool. I feel like a lot of people don't start out as a website and then become a YouTube channel. So that's kind of cool. But it's also cool that you use it as like a way to archive stuff. So
Yeah.
when did you start to, I guess, put it onto YouTube? Did you do that when YouTube first came out, or was it a couple of years after that?
It was a few years after that. So I am a big proponent of trying to maintain control, maintain ownership of as much of your assets as you can. So I actually fought going to YouTube for a long time. We had our own video. I built my own video platform and was using some video software, was hosting all the videos myself. Eventually, of course, that gets to the point where storage and archiving was just complicated. Keeping up with players and making it easy for people to use was becoming difficult. And at some point, it was just easier to move to YouTube. I mean, and at some point, you realize that YouTube is the default video storage player, discovery platform. And you kind of had, it was, the writing was on the wall. I kind of had to move over to it.
Right.
And it did make it a lot simpler. But those early days, it was I tried to maintain as much control as I could.
That makes sense. So I actually want to jump back a little bit. So how did you get into Powwows? Was it just something you were passionate about, or did you have a friend or a connection that was into it?
Yeah, like I said, in college, I built web pages about the stuff I knew, right? And that was when I was first going to Powwows. I had some friends that were showing me how to make outfits, learning the songs, going to the first Powwows. First powwow I went to was probably in like 91, 92. And then, I was slowly learning more and starting to participate, helping out, organize them, things like that. And so I just built pages about what I knew. I built two web pages back then. I built one about Star Wars toys, which I've got a Star Wars toy shirt on today, right?
Yeah.
I still love my Star Wars toys, but at the time, nobody visited Star Wars websites. That was in 96. There wasn't much out there. It was a very, 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 very niche website. And it's still out there in its 1996 state.
I'll have to check that out later.
Yeah, on Powwows, I do a show just a social media show on Thursday nights, and that was one of the topics last night. We were talking about my old Star Wars site. So yeah, but that's really it was just building as I was learning. Again, I wasn't trying to build a business or anything. I was just writing web pages about like, hey, I just learned about this, and so I wanted to write something about it. It was really just I didn't know what else to put out on the web, and for me it was tinkering with the technology, not really the content at first. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, I know about powwows and I know about Star Wars toys, so it's easy for me to put out content about those things. It was community from the beginning, which made the powwow website grow, and there just wasn't community for the other side. Now, if I was starting today, maybe it would be a different story, and maybe I'd be on a different path. But that's not, in '96, that's not where we were. So, and it was moving into the forum and really kind of catering to that community and helping the community grow and foster that is what really started us growing.
Gotcha. That's cool. That makes sense. So, just for our listeners who may not know what a powwow is, what exactly is a powwow?
Yeah, great question. So powwows are Native American celebrations. They're held for all types of reasons. I like to tell people, I live down in the South, right? In the South, we have a festival for everything. We have a Chitlin festival. We have my hometown where I grew up. We had the Orchid Festival. Iris Festival. Sorry. Sumter is known for the Iris Festival. Sorry. Anyway, but yeah, there's a festival for everything, right? And if you go to these, it's a full like immersion into the foods, the arts, the crafts, whatever that cultural thing is. And so powwows are very similar. They started off a different way, but now lots of tribes have adopted them. So they may be organized by a tribe, but people from all over will come. So some tribes will host them as like an annual homecoming. Sometimes you'll have families just do it in memorial of somebody who passed, or maybe it's in celebration of a high school graduation, or a family member getting an honor. There's ones that are just contest powwows, and the dancers and singers compete at these, and they're held every year. Some of them aren't even associated with tribes. There's a lot of groups that put these together. Now, of course, there are casinos and resorts that sponsor powwows. So, but when you go to one, you're going to see singing, you're going to see dancing, you're going to have arts and crafts and food, and you're going to be completely immersed in that culture. They're open to the public, and I highly encourage, if you're in the U.S. or Canada, there's one near you within probably an hour or two drive, because there are thousands of them happening every year. Our calendar, we try to list as many as we can, and we'll list as many as 1,200 in a year, and we're not getting them all. So they really are. They're happening everywhere. If anybody is interested and want to know more about powwows, please go check out powwows.com. I do have a special link, powwows.com/powwow101. That for new people who've never been, that's the link you go to, and it kind of gets you into the powwow world.
Awesome. That was a perfect explanation, and yeah,
Thanks.
definitely check out that website for more information. So that's cool. So you started tinkering with websites. You made powwows.com, then you decided to eventually make the switch to going to YouTube. When you went to YouTube, when did you decide to really focus in and put a lot of effort into the YouTube content?
I always knew that video was a very important part of what we would do at powwows.com, because it is such a visual thing,
Hmm.
with the dancers and the moves, the outfits and the regalia. So I knew that it was photos and videos that had to be a centerpiece of our content. So, from early on, I was trying to figure out ways to incorporate incorporate video. And, even in the early '90s, I would go to powwows and record video, like I said, on camcorders and stuff, and try to digitize those tapes. And so video was always there, and it was always something I wanted to do. And so when I finally did stop being hard headed and move off of the platform we were hosting ourselves, YouTube just made it so much more accessible and so much easier for us to create videos and share videos. So we just went all in on it, and we just started posting. Even at the time, we had hundreds of videos, and so now we've just continued to keep posting. I think we're up over 15,000 videos now.
Wow, 15,000 videos. That's a
Yeah,
lot.
it's a
And
lot.
something I was interested in is you do a lot of live streams as well,
Yeah.
not just posting videos. So tell me a little bit more about the live stream. Like, what are the pros and cons to live streaming versus, doing YouTube videos separately?
So here's our strategy: is when we go to a powwow and we live stream, we're probably going to be in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 live streams this year. And we have a few teams that really help it out. I go to a few, but then I have some other folks who go to a lot more. They live out in the Midwest and they travel and go to powwows and are able to do a bunch of them. And having some teams, it's really helped. Really, it's exploded how many powwows we're able to go to, and he's done a fantastic job. Mike Gowder is kind of heads that side up. He's done a fantastic job of really growing that. But our strategy is we live stream the powwow, the entire event. We try to go as much as possible without cutting. Now, sometimes we have to cut because of internet or technical issues or whatever. And we YouTube, we try to keep it under 12 hours, so it will archive the footage. But so we'll stream I was in Albuquerque 2 weeks ago, and we streamed Friday and Saturday of their powwow. We started streaming at 10 a.m. and didn't end till 1 a.m. Both days.
Wow.
So really, really long streams. Now, during that, there's all kinds of events that happen, whether it's a category of dancing competing against each other. This one, they have the crowning of what they call Miss Indian World. So they have a kind of a pageant there, and they crown a young lady. There was also some other special things that happen. So we record those clips, even though we're live streaming. We'll take recordings of those, and then we'll put those up on our YouTube channel later as smaller 5-7 minute clips that kind of, it's the same footage you saw in the live stream, but we then take all of that and put it out. So if you wanted to just go and watch, say, the crowning of Miss Indian World, you can go find that one little clip instead of having to kind of scrub through the entire live stream. So that's kind of our strategy is, we do take the entire archive, and you can watch live and you can participate in the chat and kind of get that community feel. But then afterwards, whatever you wanted to see, you can kind of go and watch the clips of it.
Gotcha. Cool. That makes sense. And you mentioned you keep it under 12 hours. Is that right?
Yes.
That seems like a really long time. So what happens if you go over 12 hours?
So YouTube won't archive the footage if you go over 12. You can keep streaming. They don't cut the stream off, but they won't save the recording, or they won't save the archive.
So does that mean it won't be on YouTube anymore?
Right. You'll lose the live stream, the video itself. Once you end, it won't be available. Same thing with Facebook. If you go over 8 hours, after 8 hours, they don't keep any more additional video on that recording or that stream. So we do have to cut during the day, which sucks sometimes. You get a big audience going, and then but you have to make that cut, or you'll lose that footage. And so we know people like to watch the day after or the week after, so we make sure that we have all of that archived. But yeah, that's how we end up with 15,000 videos. So the one I was at Albuquerque, it was just a 2-day powwow, but I think I ended up with around 250 clips from that weekend. So that's just one powwow. And so that's how we end up with just hundreds and hundreds of videos.
Gotcha. That's crazy. That's a lot of videos.
It's a lot of videos.
You probably got to be one of the channels with the most videos uploaded.
Yeah, I don't know. We're up there. Yeah.
So I'm curious, do you have an average number of viewers that you get per live stream?
It really does depend on the powwow. This one in Albuquerque is the biggest powwow of the year. On YouTube, concurrent users, we were up over 2,500 for most of the weekend, which is a lot of people. On Facebook, I don't even remember what we were hitting on the video itself, but Facebook has a nice little graph that'll show you, over the last 28 days, what was your total views. And we're up over 30 million for the last 28 days on Facebook. So, the audience was huge for that weekend. Now, other powwows will get a few 100,000 to maybe 800,000-900,000. We have some powwows that are a little bit bigger, a little bit more known, that may hit the 1 or 2 million views in a weekend. But that's kind of where we average in that 500,000 to 800,000 views for a weekend. And then, of course, like I said, we have all the clips afterwards, so they continue to get views and they continue to see people are watching that powwow. So, the powwows themselves, they love it because it's some of the best marketing they can do. Because you're actually showing the world, hey, here's this powwow. You need to go check this out and attend in person. So, yeah,
that's fascinating. So, does each powwow try to hire you to come live stream it, or
yes,
do you kind of coordinate that? I guess, how does that work?
Yeah. So the way it works is the powwow committee. There's usually a powwow committee that kind of organizes the event, and so they'll work with us. They'll contract us to come in and do that. Depending on some some are more advanced than others, like Gathering Nations. That's a big event. There's 100,000 people in person at the event. They contract their camera crew and sound people in addition to us. So for that one, we just come in and they give us a cable and it's the feed and we stream it. And so they have a full
Mm.
crew. They have a producer who's, sitting like you see on TV, sitting in the headphone, with the thing and telling the camera people what to do. There's 7 or 8 camera people spread throughout the arena. So that's a super, super highly professional enterprise kind of event. Others that we do on our own, we provide our own cameras. So we'll do anywhere from 3 to 5 cameras. We use mostly PTZ cameras now at this point so that we can kind of get more angles. And then, so we do it that way. So, the powwow committees hire us and bring it in. Again, it's the best marketing they can do for their event. It really does highlight what they're doing. But not only that, the thing we hear the most, even from powwow committees, but people out there, is one of the big benefits is that they're able to show the world their event, not just for marketing, but say they have tribal members or family members that aren't able to travel, or they're maybe, we have a lot of people that are serving overseas or serving in another state, whether it's job or military. And so they're able to show it like, so maybe if we contract with the Seminoles down in Florida, we do their powwow. They know that they're able to make sure that all the Seminole people can see the event. Now, the rest of the world's watching it too, but they know that they're able to serve it to their folks and the people who can't travel or maybe are not home that weekend or whatever. They know that they can still feel connected to their home tribe. And that's a big plus too. And one of the things we love hearing from people that they're able to watch a family member through our live streams.
That sounds awesome. That's fascinating. I could probably ask a bajillion questions about this because it's super fascinating. But before we move on, I had one more question about live streams. And because you've done so many of them and taken clips from your live streams, do you have any advice for our viewers who may be interested in doing a live stream that you think would be helpful for them?
Yeah, of course. Nowadays, the technology makes live streaming easy. We can do it from our phones. I know there's tons of people streaming on TikTok or YouTube Shorts or Facebook, whatever. It's easy. In 2004, when we started this, it was difficult. We actually built our own Windows media servers to do the
Oh,
streaming. It was really hard. There was a lot of figuring things out and trying to make it work. But like I said, anybody can live stream, and there's so many live streams out there. There's so many people going live, and you see their stream, and there's 1 or 2 people watching. I think it's
mhm.
more important now to really work on building a following, building a community. Because then it makes your live stream impactful. It's the community for us. It's that community it's the community part of it. It's having the people that are watching, talking with each other, but also they're at the same time they're texting people that are at the powwow. So people know that there's people watching. They have that feeling because people are talking, people are engaging with it, they're sharing it. So without a following, you're just streaming out there on YouTube without anybody watching. So I really think that's important to concentrate on, is figure out who you want to stream to, build that community, work on developing content, whether it's on your website or your social media, find ways to build that up. And then when you go live, then it's impactful, then it's meaningful because you have people watching.
Yeah, I totally agree. That is some great advice. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
And I said I had one more question before we move on, but I have another question
Yeah,
because
of
you
course.
reminded me of something. So you mentioned anybody can like do a live stream, and there's a lot of people out there. There's people who stream like just lifestyle stuff. There's
Right.
video game streamers, stuff like that. And I feel like most of those I see, it's just like one person behind a camera, and they kind of interact with a chat. Do
Yeah.
you have someone that's like an MC or like someone that interacts with the chat and is like on a microphone kind of talking to the online viewers?
So we've tried that a couple of times over the years. At powwows, there's powwow MCs that are actually talking to the crowd, and because we're hooked into the sound system, the viewers at home can hear that too, and so they're kind of keeping things rolling, making an announcement of what's coming next, of who's performing right now, and so when we have done it, our viewers haven't really liked it because we're talking over the MCs, and so they feel
Oh,
like they're
that makes
missing
sense.
something at the powwow. So anytime we cut away from what's going on at the powwow, there's resistance to that, because our viewers want to see the entire powwow in its, without breaks, without missing it. So we haven't done a whole lot of that. We always make sure there's people in the chat. Like, I'll be in there. This one at Albuquerque, my wife was there. So we make sure we're in there. We got some moderators too that are in there engaging in the chat and talking to them, text wise,
Mm.
instead of trying to talk over the live stream. And that's just what we found. There's other people that are doing powwow live streams too. And I've seen some of them. They have people that are talking on the mic, and they even have like cutaways, and they'll do interviews. We've tried all that, and our viewers aren't as receptive to it. Like now, if we do record an interview at a powwow, instead of playing it on the live stream, I'll just wait until afterwards and put it up as a video. Maybe mention on the live stream, oh, by the way, we just interviewed so and so, and we'll have that available for you tomorrow. That kind of thing, because people want to see what's happening, and not miss anything.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I was just curious, but
Yeah,
yeah, it makes sense to follow what your audience wants, and if they don't like that, then
yeah,
totally
exactly.
understand. So I guess changing gears a little bit, looking to the future of your channel, how do you see it evolving, or do you see it evolving? Do you kind of see it just continuing doing live streams and taking clips of videos, or do you see you doing any type of other content? How do you see your channel in the future?
So I do. I think I mentioned I do a live show on Thursday nights, and most of those are with guests, and I'll have people on. So I'd really like to do more of that, and I'd like to incorporate more of that. I'm not always the best at being consistent with that, so that's one of the goals. Is I really want to do more of that. I also know that right now the trend and what people are engaging with is vertical short form video. So we're trying to do more of that, and take parts of our live stream and convert them over to short form clips. We're probably going to have some of our short form videos, be explainer videos, or be, here's what kind of summary videos of maybe if we went to a powwow, kind of like here's what happened videos, doing more voiceover type, or captioned videos. I kind of see that is one of the areas we can get into as well, instead of just putting up 250 clips from a powwow, maybe doing some highlights and some wrap ups, those kind of things, especially in the short form vertical video format. So that, I kind of see more of that happening as well. Our live streaming is still going strong. Just this week we picked up 2 more powwows that we're going to be live streaming this year. So I really see that growing, because so many more powwows want us to come and want us to do that for them. So I see that being strong for at least the next year or so. But yeah, the whole online world changes so fast. I don't know. After a year, who knows where we'll be?
Hmm.
Yeah, I heard an influencer talk about the other day. Is like, as social media people, like, what happens when we aren't consuming content on our phones, and how's that impact our content? Yeah, that's going to be for video and everything, right? When our phones are no longer our major point of consumption, what does that mean? And how are we?
Hmm.
We all wearing glasses at this point? I don't know. But yeah, for now, that's kind of where I see us going.
Yeah, who knows how fast technology will change? I mean,
Yeah.
to me, it seems like the short form rise was super fast. Um,
Yes.
so who knows in like a year or two? But you mentioned there's like 1,200 powwows a year or something.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it
Right.
seems like a pretty good space to do live streams in. So it seems like you're safe for at least a little bit.
I hope so. Yeah.
So, you mentioned you're pretty big on Facebook as well. Like, I think you said you had 30 million views for like the last 28 days or something like that. Is that what you
Yes.
said?
Yeah.
So, how did you, I guess, grow on Facebook? Did you kind of do it in tandem with YouTube, or I guess how did you expand your platform to Facebook as well?
Facebook came before YouTube, but we had our forums, right? And that was always kind of our thing, was our forums. For
Hmm.
people watching that or can go back to the 90s, V Bulletin, early 2000s, V Bulletin was the thing that everybody used for forums. And that's kind of where we really came into our own as powwows.com and as that community. It was when Facebook was first coming on and people were shifting from our forums to Facebook. I remember getting emails from people going, "Hey man, it was a nice ride at powwows.com, but you guys are dead because we're all going to Facebook." Okay. Again, it was one of those things. Yeah, the online world shifted to social media away from kind of website community driven things. And so, it took us a little while to figure out that transition. And but eventually, when Facebook gave us the ability to have a page and a group, our community eventually did come, and we grew beyond where we were on V Bulletin. Obviously, I mean, our V Bulletin, we had maybe a couple 100,000 members, where now we have 1.2 million followers on our page, and another 130,000 in our group. So yeah, it was a for me, it was a hard transition, and seeing the thing I knew forever, seeing that V Bulletin shrink and shrink and shrink and have less traffic, and then trying to figure out what works on Facebook and how you engage differently. Because again, like I always said, I liked the V Bulletin because I had control, I had ownership of it, I managed every aspect of it. Whereas in Facebook, we had to let some control go. It eventually works, and it's okay. But yeah, it was a tough transition. But that's kind of how we made that happen.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. So, do you see, are there like pros and cons to Facebook versus YouTube? And if so, what are they?
Oh, so first thing, I think you should. I mean, you definitely should stream to multiple places, because there are people that engage in content in different ways.
Hmm.
Here's what I see: we have the most followers and the most engagement on Facebook. So when we live stream there, yes, it gets a lot more views. However, on YouTube, because the people there are there for video consumption, we have longer engagement and longer watch time. The Facebook
Oh,
people
that's
may
interesting.
be, yeah, they may watch the powwow for a few minutes, and then they're on to something else because they're just doom scrolling, right? They're just going,
Mm,
and maybe they come back to it if the algorithm brings them back. Um, so that's kind of how we see it. Yes, there's a lot more people on the platform, so our videos get more views, but we have people on YouTube that will sit there and watch us for 6, 8 hours, and just stay with it the whole time. And I think people also, they're used to consuming video on YouTube, so we have a lot of people that put it up on their TV, or they're watching it on a tablet while they're doing something on their phone. Um, you can do all that with Facebook, but I don't think people think about it that way. People think more of Facebook as mass consumption as they're kind of just scrolling through everything. So that's kind of where I see. And then there's also the fact that you know Facebook, yes, for a long time they prioritized live video, but now they're going to delete your video file after 30 days. Um, they don't let you stream into groups anymore natively. It's weird how you have to stream into groups. So I think Facebook is more volatile and changes more quickly, and that causes issues. Whereas YouTube has been pretty stable for a long time. Now we used to say that about Google search too, so I don't want to. I'm scared to say that out loud, that
yeah.
YouTube is stable, because who knows what they're going to roll out next. Yeah, for us,
Yeah.
I feel like Facebook is more of where our community lives and engages, and is where people can discover us for the first time. But I would love to, my goal with Facebook is always to move them back to our website and our email address, our email list, and then have them from there consume the content, the video content over on YouTube. Like on our website, when I embed the YouTube video on our website to kind of promote it there, not the Facebook. Because YouTube is our video, I kind of call that's our place of record. That's our official, like where the videos are going to be. Yes, we'll
Hmm.
put them on Facebook, but that's not where we are going to promote our video. We're going to promote it. Go to YouTube to find it.
Gotcha. So I'm not on Facebook all that often. So to find a live stream, are you just like scrolling through the short form videos and it pops up, or is there like a separate page or tab? How do you, I guess, I don't even know if I've ever seen a live stream on Facebook.
All of the above and other ways. And so that's one of the problems with Facebook, because there are so many. I mean, you could be scrolling through your friends' feed, you could be scrolling through your main feed, you could be looking at short form videos. You never know how the Facebook algorithm is going to surface a piece of content to you. Now, if you are a fan or follower of our page, and maybe the algorithm will pop up a notification and tell you we're live. Uh, unfortunately, with 1.2 million followers, it doesn't happen to everybody who follows our page because we don't get all of a sudden we don't have all 1.2 million watching it or even 50% watching us when we start a live video. So that's the challenge, right? With Facebook, there is so much content other than video. When you do go live, people don't always see it. And it may be, again, as you're scrolling other content, our video may pop up and say, oh, by the way, powwows.com is live. And so that's people, look, that's cool. And then they're on to something else. So now Facebook has some new tools, at least new. We just started using them over the last few months. We have a broadcast channel where we actually can push out notifications to people who choose to get our broadcast messages. So that's another way we can kind of promote it. We'll promote it in our stories and things like that too, to try to get more people to watch on Facebook. But the algorithm definitely makes that more challenging.
Interesting. I was just curious because, yeah, I'm not on Facebook all that often.
Right.
And then earlier when you mentioned how your YouTube watchers watch for longer periods of time,
Yeah.
um, I'm curious how monetization works with live streams. Do you get revenue from live stream watch time, or is live stream revenue only from like donations? Because I know long form videos get revenue based off of like watch time and stuff like that, but I'm not sure
Right.
how live stream works. So if you want to
Yeah.
elaborate on that, that would be, I think, helpful to our listeners.
Right. So yes, you can turn on like the super chats and things like that on YouTube. On Facebook, there's stars, and so some of our viewers will send those in, and that's always really appreciated. Our community was really active on this past powwow in Albuquerque, and we had several really big donations on. Big for us on super chat. So that was really cool, and they did it
Mhm.
to actually interact with us and say things. So that was cool. But yes, so on YouTube, we are in the content monetization program. So we do. It's the same as a long form video. They do insert ads. You can kind of pick whether you insert them or Facebook will, or sorry, YouTube will automatically insert them. I'll let Facebook take care of that. I let YouTube take care of that, so they automatically
Uh-huh.
insert the ads. One of the challenges for us is that because these are live events, and we're not in control of who's on the microphone or who's running the sound. So a lot of time, if there's downtime, sometimes they will turn on a CD or play some music off Spotify. So we have to be real careful with
Oh.
that. That does cause us issues. So we're trying to get better about muting the video when that does happen. So we've had videos blocked. And in Albuquerque, they also had a music festival along with it. That actually got us a content strike
Mm.
this year, which has not happened before. But we got a full content strike and got blocked from streaming that one. So yeah, we have to be careful of that. For live streams, the content monetization is not great. That's not going to be a main source of revenue. I wish it was.
Mm.
You were asking me about where I see my channel going. I mean, our ultimate goal is that we can show up at a powwow, or we can call a powwow ahead of time and be like, hey, we want to stream your event, and it be no cost to the event, right? Instead of them having to contract with us. I'd love it if these platforms paid enough that we could just show up and it would pay all of our expenses, but it's not there yet. But yeah, you do get some revenue from it, just like you do on a regular video. And it's the same kind of CPMs and RPMs as you get on your regular videos.
Oh, okay. That was going to be my next question. So it's roughly about the same revenue as a regular video versus a live
Yes.
stream.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Cool. That's super interesting to me. You're the first YouTube creator that I feel like really focuses on live streams. So
Okay.
that's really interesting. So moving on to the next question I have for you. Have you worked with sponsors with a live stream? And if so, how does that work? Do you insert like you mentioned YouTube can insert ads, but if you're
Right.
sponsored by a specific brand, like maybe you're using a camera or something, I don't know if you get sponsored by that,
Yeah.
but do you like
Right.
insert a segment into the live stream mentioning that product, or how does your sponsors work?
So what we like to do is when we go to work with a powwow, we'll tell them, hey, look, we have the ability to play commercials or to display graphics. So a lot of these powwows, of course, selling sponsorships to help fund their event. And so that's a service we'll provide to them is like, hey, if you have a set of sponsors already, just send us the files and we'll play them.
Mm.
Now, we have had a few sponsors that buy directly from us and sponsor a live stream. And so, yeah, we'll just, whatever software we're using, we'll, insert the videos, try to do them just lower thirds, or like this one in Albuquerque, we played the sponsors message and then put the powwow down in a picture in picture again, so we never cut away.
Mhm.
And so we did that. So the first day we didn't do that, and like people got upset because we cut away. So that's what we started doing, is just putting it down in the side. But yeah, we've done all the above, right? Preferred is to work with the powwow and let them show their sponsors, because that gives them added value to their sponsors, and maybe they can charge a little bit more and offset what they're paying us to be there. But then, yeah, we've had a few sponsors that want to come directly to us and have an ad or something on the channel. So we'll do that, but we'll also, I like to put it in the description or put it in our email and in some other ways to kind of help. Having a sponsor on video is good, and it's really good exposure, but trying to get somebody to click or to go off the video and then visit a website, that's difficult. It's really good for awareness, but it's not as good for driving traffic. So we try to, when we do have sponsors, put it in other places to make that conversion a little easier.
Cool. Yeah, I was just wondering. And have you had any uh, interesting or rough experiences working with sponsors, or have they all been pretty smooth sailing?
They've all been pretty smooth sailing. We've had a couple, like we've had a couple sponsors. I won't mention names, but that the company themselves maybe didn't have a great relationship with the Native community. I've
Mm.
had maybe two companies like that, and it was difficult for us to take the sponsorship. But like one was like the big corporation themselves did some things not so good, but then we worked with a local branch of that company that was doing good things in the local Native community. So I thought it was a good thing to work with them. The viewers didn't always see it that way because they only know the big corporate side, maybe not the local side. So it takes
Yeah.
a little bit of education, and we're in the chat telling people, hey, this is what's going on. That's only happened twice that we've had one of those. We've had some that we've just said no to because of issues like that, or messaging that just doesn't fit with what we do. But yeah, that's probably the worst thing we've had.
Gotcha. Okay, I was just wondering.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
More, I guess, focused on the YouTube experience and your kind of journey working with YouTube. The first one is, because you've been doing it for so long, I'm hoping you have maybe some good advice, but is there anything that you feel like you made a mistake with when doing YouTube that you would have done differently had you known? And if so, could you share that so our listeners can kind of learn as they're doing their own YouTube?
I mean, not going to YouTube sooner. As I mentioned before, being hard headed and staying with our video platform, I think that was a mistake. I'm kind of also building my own personal coaching side of another channel, and for me, the mistake there is not being consistent, not doing it enough. I think if you're going to go into doing whether you're going to be a talking head video or an event based video channel, that you really have to commit and be consistent and put out content. And it's tough. That's probably the hardest thing is being consistent with it. I wish in the beginning, and even now, I think we're so big. There's things that we could do better and should be doing better as far as like organization, discovery. Um, we for a long time we didn't do custom thumbnails, so we're doing that now. Trying to make it used to be that we would just show a clip of the dance, right? It was just in the beginning, it was like, okay, so powwow people know if they see this picture, they know what they're looking at. But after you grow so big, that it's not just powwow people that are watching your videos. So we're now trying to make sure we put like what you're actually seeing in the thumbnail, as well as making better titles, those kind of things. So when you're a new channel, or for me, an old channel, I think thumbnails, titling, descriptions are all really important and something you should spend more time on. And that's something we're going back and learning better now.
Gotcha. I think that is great advice. I agree about the thumbnails. The whole package,
Yeah.
thumbnail and title are really, really important for discoverability.
Yes.
Um, I've got one more question for you, and this
Okay.
kind of goes hand in hand with that one, but there's a lot of people that have misconceptions about YouTube, whether it's like the algorithm or something specific. But do you feel like you know of any myths about YouTube that you think need to be busted? Like, hey, this isn't true from my experience, or anything like that?
There's a lot of people that have misconceptions on um, how their channel is going to grow, how they're going to get views, um, especially when you're starting out and they're trying to do whether it's clickbait titles or things like that. I think, and just to dispel whatever myth you think about growth, I think the key really is consistent quality, um, and making sure you produce content that you would want to consume, and just letting the right audience find your video, whether that's a little slower than you want, instead of trying to take these quick hits and um, get a ton of traffic because you had some kind of catchy, clickbaity thumbnail or title. Um, I think it's more important that you focus on who your audience is and get real growth instead of some of these vanity metrics. I know a lot of people that get millions of views, but it's not their audience, so they don't convert, they don't stay. So yeah, that would be, ignore some of those myths about growing your channel and just focus on growing the right way.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. That is a really good point. And I like what you said about making content that you would consume.
Right.
I think a lot of, creators make the mistake of trying to be someone that they're not when they're making content. And so, making something that they would consume and enjoy, I think is a good way to think. I
Yeah.
think there is a fine balance. Like, you need to also take into account what your audience wants, and what they want to see, but also make good quality stuff that you would watch. So
And listen to your audience, right? Yeah. Listen to your audience. They're going to tell you what they want. So read the comments, read your emails, and take that and then build content and build videos from what they're asking for.
yeah, definitely. Well, Paul, thanks for being on the show. Really appreciate it. So you're on Facebook and YouTube. Is there any other platform that, if our listeners wanted to follow you, that they should go to?
I mean, we're on Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok. We're on all the places. Really, where I consider the heart of the Powwows community is our email list. That's where I feel like I can really engage with people the best, and I know that people are going to see it. So I'm a big proponent of email. So please come over, subscribe to our email if you do want to follow us. That's the best place to make sure you don't miss anything, because, like we were talking about, all these platforms have algorithms. So join our email list, and you'll never miss anything we do.
Awesome. Cool. Well, make sure to check out powwows.com on YouTube, and go to their website and check out their email list and all of that good stuff. So thank you to our listeners and watchers for checking out this episode. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And if you need help with content creation, make sure to check us out at creatorlux.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.